Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the author Andrew Snorton, and you're joining us for a later edition of the Fast 15. Normally, what we do is usually a little bit after 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We take about a 15-minute moment to kind of pause, check up, check in, enjoy a short reading, a couple of announcements, and things along those lines. Based on the moving parts that I had earlier today, we had to push it back to a little bit later time tonight at 10 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody for taking time to make an adjustment in their schedule and just kind of kick back for a few minutes. Know it's getting late. Well, some of y'all stay up a whole lot later than I do, but we know it's getting a little bit late. So I just want to thank everybody for hanging around. To best enjoy, make sure to add me on Facebook at the page Author Andrew Snorton, AUTHOR ANDREW SNORTON. For those of you on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, please make sure to add me at Author A Snorton. And when you add me on Instagram, please make sure to go ahead and click the link in the bio. That will take you to where you can download a copy of my press kit. So for anyone that has requests for interviews or doing an event, things along those lines, you can pull the info there. And when you do continue, like I said, click on the link in the bio for Instagram. It'll scroll you through to different interviews that I've done with different media outlets from pretty much all over. And I'm thankful and grateful to each and every outlet. Email me at authorasnorton@gmail.com in case you've got any questions, requests for personalized copies of any of the books, speaking engagements, things along those lines. So again, I thank all of you for being, just being on board and what have you. So just a couple of quick things as we go ahead and jump into stuff. As you usually know, we always take a couple of moments to just acknowledge people, on both sides of the spectrum. We know there's some people that are doing exceedingly well during, very interesting times. And there's some people that are really legit struggling. So for the folks that are doing well, whatever accomplishment you've made professionally, personally, and things along those lines, what you've been led through in order to get to where you are. So you have every right to go ahead and kind of pause, celebrate, reflect. Don't go overboard with the celebration, but you definitely have every right to. But also make sure to keep in mind that once upon a time you might not have been as successful as you were. And that goes to the other end of the spectrum. You know that there's people who are genuinely struggling with a number of things. To a degree, all of us are struggling with something, but some of us are really, really struggling on where their next meal is going to come from. Self-image, just their general health, just in looking at things around them and they don't see any hope or anything along those lines. We want to acknowledge people that are, quote, struggling, but by the same token, do what you need to kind of pause, pivot, reboot, re-strategize, reorganize. As I've said before, and I said it again, if what you're dealing with requires professional help, there's no shame in speaking with a counselor, speaking with a psychologist, psychiatrist. If it's fitness-based, getting that fitness coach, life-based, a life coach, things along those lines. But there's no shame in getting help, and all of us have gotten help in some way, shape, or form, so don't be embarrassed or ashamed by doing so. So what I want to make sure to do before we go into the passage we're going to pull from, shouts to Richard Gregory Johnson for joining me on Instagram. Y'all look him up. Good guy, doing some real good things professionally and otherwise, so make sure to check out Richard Gregory Johnson, making it happen. So today's passage is going to come from my bestseller. Well, of the books I've done, this is the one that's done the best. I mean, all of them are doing well, but this one's done the best. 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1. And I always like to go to this one. And as people may or may not recall, yes, it is partially an interfaith conversation with people of Christianity, Hinduism, and Islam. But just as big is understanding that all of us are dealing with something each and every day. And people open up about through the lens of their, what they do through the lens of their faith, best practices in health and wellness, their support network, and how they've changed their way of thinking, that they still live lives of power, principle, and purpose. And it doesn't mean you have to do things exactly the way that they do, but it gives you ideas that, hey, maybe there's a different approach to what I'm trying to work through. Maybe, I can do something different. Maybe I need to reevaluate or analyze some things. So I'm going to go back to one of my favorite chapters in here, chapter 5, Floyd Mayweather versus Jerry Cooney. And this is really delving into matters regarding mental health. And to varying degrees, we've all had mental health episodes, whether we've had stressful moments, we've boo-hoo-hooed, we've cussed and fussed a little bit more and made up some words. Y'all know what I'm talking about. To where we've had, identity issues, things along those lines. And don't think everybody that you see is, quote, well put together has always been that way. That's a bold-faced lie. And I would go ahead and give a spiritual example, but some of y'all might get mad. I'm going to say it anyway. Heck, even Jesus was stressed. Yeah, Christian folk. Why don't you read what happened when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane? And if you're sweating blood, I ain't sweated blood before, but if you sweated blood before, let me know how that feels, because that means you're under a lot of stress. So don't think that any of us that are, quote, doing well have not had stressful moments, have not had moments of doubt, confusion, things along those lines. We've been fortunate that we haven't stayed stuck there. But everybody has had some type of moment where, even if it's been fleeting or for a long period of time, you have had some issues. So here's a couple of quotes I like to look at. And it's just a reminder that sometimes things can change in a heartbeat, and we need to be sensitive to that. At times, I struggle with who I am. I live with understanding what belongs to me and what belongs to my illness. Hey, that's a reminder that at times, man, you go through it. Like, real talk, there's times you really go through it. And that's going to happen. But when you pause, you identify some things are temporary and some things might take a little bit longer to work through. Here's a couple other quotes that I think help. Actually, this one is definitely, how do you live a life as positive and productive as possible, even in the midst of here. And I love this particular quote. This is definitely big, and this is something I've had to remind myself, because everything hasn't been as smooth as it looks, ladies and gentlemen. Here's something that's big. I want people to know, if you get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. I hope people understand that endurance and perseverance are more than just actions, and that staying alive and doing something positive with this life is indeed worth it. Run that back one more time. I want people to know, if you get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. And I think all of us have been knocked down in some way, shape, or form, but we have to, at some point in time, get back up and keep it moving. I hope people understand that endurance and perseverance are more than actions. It's a mindset, and it's an approach, and you understand, hey, some of these things are for the long haul, and you've got to make sure to understand that. And there's going to be bumps in the road. But when you navigate through those bumps in the road, boy, oh boy. That's all I'm going to say. Boy, oh boy. That's some big things right there. And staying alive and doing something positive with this life is indeed worth it. We know there's some people that talk about life isn't worth it. Why am I still here? Why is this type of stuff happen? But just try as best as possible. Look at every day as an opportunity to do something constructive, to do something just a little bit different. And as you've heard me say this before, we don't have to get things perfect, but if we can get as close to right as possible, it'll definitely be better for others. So those are a couple quotes I want to leave you with from chapter 5 out of my book, 9 Stories of Faith, volume 1. So a couple of real quick announcements before we wind down, as we want to keep this, in the 15-minute range. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. If you're in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, or if you have the online access, make sure to tune in tomorrow, September 15th, 3:30 p.m. on WSNC FM 90.5. I'll be a guest on Triad in Focus, hosted by Jim Steele. So tune in at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk about all the books, The audiobooks, I've got a new project that should be coming out next month, so I'm not going to give it all away, but I'll give enough of it away to make sure you need to circle that date on your calendar. And I'll definitely talk about my next book signing, which will take place on Friday, September the 16th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. on the campus of Wake Forest University at the main campus bookstore on the Quad. Stop by the table, meet, greet, say hello, add any of the books to your library or that of your favorite reader. Get some info on the audiobooks you can download and stream. The Author's Mixtape audiobook series. It's freestyle, music, spoken word, the whole nine, especially volumes 4 and 5 of my co-author, Chris Kinder, also known as Chris Tense. So shouts to her, partner. And a little bit of an advanced drop on the October project that I'm really excited about. So you're going to definitely hear some more things about that. A couple other folks I just want to shout and acknowledge. Tune in tomorrow on Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be serving as the guest host for Life with Shanita. Looking forward to it. It's going to be more of that roundtable barbershop talk. So fellas, make sure you tune in. Ladies, tune in as well, because we're going to cover 4 key topics that, even though you're like, what do men think? Or we already know, you might learn something new. So definitely make sure to check it out. Shouts to Anthony Page and the entire creative team of the Blue Bistro Creative. If you're in Atlanta, you need to make sure you catch the Blue series, which is a great play series. 6 unique plays written by 6 different writers, 6 different directors, 6 different casts, and it's going to be a transformational generational piece because it's chronicling a family's journey from the past, from like 1876 all the way to like 2086. So that ought to be interesting to travel through a family's generational journey and then some. So make sure to check them out at the Apex Theater, Apex Museum in Atlanta, Georgia. So awesome work to again, Anthony Page, and shouts to Robin Antoinette, one of the directors. Awesome, man. She's the truth. So make sure you check her out. Trying to see what else is happening. I think those are the main things that are taking place right about now. And so, like I said, we're going to make sure this goes on the YouTube channel, and then I'll put it on Facebook and go ahead and go from there. But like we always try to do, there might be a couple nights where we end up having to do this a little bit later just because of some additional moving parts that are happening during the day. So next Wednesday, September 21st, we'll be back at our regular 1:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I definitely want to thank you guys for understanding, but there's going to be a few Wednesdays for the foreseeable future, for reasons I cannot tell you, that we're going to end up doing this a little bit more of a late night piece. Not super late, but 10 o'clock. By then, before you go to bed, you need something as a word of encouragement or good humor, or, check out the Yankees hat and salt and pepper, or whatever you want to call it. But as always, I want to thank everybody who's taken time to keep me uplifted, keep me encouraged, be supportive. Everybody who supported through the books, the audio books, speaking engagements, book signings, book festivals. I am extremely grateful. And for you ask any author, those are things that definitely keep any author motivated and encouraged, because sometimes it's a little bit rough, but we definitely appreciate it. I know I appreciate it, so I want to give people their flowers while they're here. And I hope that, you're able to enjoy these moments just to kind of pause, check up, check in, and what have you. Usually we do this during the day because sometimes you can't wait till the night, or you can't wait till the next day to get a little pick-me-up or a moment to pause. So I'm grateful to everybody who's been understanding that for a few nights we're going to have to do it later in the evening, but we don't want to do it too late, but you guys understand, so I definitely appreciate it. So as we get ready to wind down, again, to stay connected with me, make sure to add me on Facebook on the page Author Andrew Snorton, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Author A. Snorton. Click on the link in the bio for Author A. Snorton on Instagram for all the press and media, things along those lines. Download a copy of the press and media kit. Reach out to me for any speaking engagements, benefit signings, things along those lines. I definitely want to do what creative work that I can to definitely reach back and help others. Shouts to all the independent bookstores, museums that are carrying any of the books. Have to make sure we acknowledge and support them, even if they're not brick and mortar. So definitely need to make sure to send some shout support and keep these independent entities going, because they do give authors like me the opportunity to go ahead and get our voices heard, get our stuff out there, and be able to do these book festivals, like last month being in Jackson, Mississippi for the Mississippi Festival. Make sure to email me at authorsnorton@gmail.com if you got any questions. I always say, well, yeah, you need a word of encouragement or two, things along those lines. I'd be remiss, real quick, New Jersey, New Brunswick, New Jersey, please mark the dates, October 20th and October 22nd. A great arts and entertainment team, Styletainment, is doing their annual gala. Well, the 20th is where they're doing their theatrical performance. It's the 10th year anniversary of their performance, which is just amazing. And then October 22nd, they will be, October 20th will be at the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center. So you definitely want to catch your ticket for that, for your theatrical performance. October 22nd will be their gala at the Hyatt Regency in New Brunswick, which is great, as the gala acknowledges and celebrates at least 10 women who are survivors of breast cancer. That's really, really powerful. I was able to do the event in December of last year. Excited to be a part of that as part of the red carpet team, as well as the host team, to make sure to introduce these great women and more. So make sure to check out Styletainment on your favorite social media platforms, and make sure to get a ticket, and make sure to, if you can, sponsor, donate, do a donation, support the silent auction, things along those lines. So those are some of the main things that I'm at liberty to share at this point in time. I'll share some more as the information comes available. But again, thank you so much for your words of encouragement, your words of insight. Before we close out, again, shouts to Richard Gregory Johnson on IG for joining me. And like I always say, whether slow or swift, movement is movement. Whether small or big, a victory is a victory. So keep it moving, keep it victorious. Look forward to seeing you all real soon. All right, take care.